This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Okay, boys and girls, let's count the PlayStation way. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Now let's count the Xbox way. Xbox 360,
Wow.
1, 1S, 1X, Series S, Series X. Great. Now let's count the Nintendo way. Nintendo, Super, 64, GameCube, Wii U, Switch. Wonderful. We can all see which of these ways is superior, can't we, boys and girls? Yes, we can. Don't forget to tell your parents.
I'm confused.
Why aren't there letters?
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show,
Thank you. Great.
but that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We were talking about video games. Yeah.
Video games. Yes, we were doing a category show of video games. Last time we did this was back in 2015. On episode 17, your podcast is in another castle.
So funny.
Briggs wasn't even born yet.
That was BB. We felt like we were so definitive in that episode.
We covered everything.
Yeah.
We had like 30 categories.
What did we cover?
We covered everything from like Atari to just before PlayStation.
And then the world ended, apparently.
Yes.
Okay, so why are we talking about it this time?
Well, because we had a request from a patron. Pull back the curtain. There it is. It's
That is now the sound of pulling back the curtain.
it's Brian Madsen.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Brian, it's been a while
good.
since you've been on here. How you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, we had you back on our horror pitch show.
Yeah.
I believe that was the Pumpkin Spices live show, wasn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I remember that one. You've been a wonderful supporter of Baconsale. You and your wife, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
She's here as well in the background.
Our favorite couple, the Madsons.
Our favorite couple, the Madsons. Why did you decide you wanted to talk modern video games from PlayStation and beyond?
It's been missing, specifically Xbox, but just anything modern.
What's an Xbox? We've never really talked about it on the
Xbox 360, 1, 1S, 1X, Series S, Series X.
And you and I have talked behind the scenes a little bit how we never bring up Xbox. In fact, we've talked a lot about PlayStation and PlayStation's history itself. And Xbox has never come up because I don't think the three of us ever really played.
Well, there was a branch off where you had to decide if you were going to go the PlayStation route, the Nintendo route, or the Xbox
So the
route.
console wars are alive within us?
Yes.
It's basically, do you want your games to be good? Do you want them to be fun? Or do you want to tell everybody that your game is better? I'll let you decide which is which.
I'm confused.
But which consoles do you own, Brian?
Oh, I own Super Nintendo, PS2, PS4, Xbox 360, an original Xbox, an Xbox One, Series S, and Series X.
Are these all plugged into the TV?
No.
Okay.
No,
So
we don't have the space for that right now.
I did hear a PlayStation in there, but it was the PS2.
And
but
the
then you-
PS4.
but you you did a PS4, but you had like 7 Xboxes. So is Xbox your preferred console?
Yeah, that's since 360 up. I mean, before that, I had the PS2, and that was what I mained. But
So what makes, I was going to, just out of curiosity, I'm not like Kent here. I'm not playing favorites. What makes the Xbox your preferred console? Like, what is it about it?
that's what all my friends played.
Well,
that is truthfully the answer. Like,
Well,
it was
in-
always based on what your friends were playing.
Back in the day, I personally believe that Xbox had more online elements where you could play with your friends.
For sure.
which was
Xbox
not-
Live changed everything.
well,
Yeah.
let's go through the history books really quick. Because the PS2 is the highest selling console of all time. Everyone owned one. Everyone.
We had like 4 because they kept breaking.
Yeah, that's probably why.
yeah,
right?
we got two.
And
One
the
got destroyed.
Xbox was out, but then the PS3 and the Xbox 360 era happened, and the PS3 was the first one to introduce the Blu-ray player, so it was $500.
Yeah.
Yep. No one could afford one, and everyone's like, hey, that 360 is looking pretty good. And the games on it were incredible. And so it just took off and was number one for a while until kind of like how Super Nintendo finally did from the Genesis, the PS3 finally came back around and then really sold it around PS4 era. But most people owned 360.
Yeah.
And we never really talked about it.
No, it's one of those blind spots, kind of like, I wouldn't say blind spots, but maybe glaucoma spots.
It's a little spotty.
spotty.
Yeah, a little bit,
Sure.
a little hazy, like with Nintendo, where we just kind of didn't play that as much. But
Sure.
Ken, I know you're like firmly rooted
I'm
in
a
PlayStation.
firmly Sony guy. I have owned an Xbox One and Nintendo consoles.
You do have a Switch, though, right?
I do.
Yeah, and Zach, you also.
I play, as far as the Xbox versus PlayStation side, I have traditionally been PlayStation. I've owned all the consoles up till this point where I do not have a PS5, and instead I have a Xbox Series S.
You did
mean
jump to Xbox.
You
I
have
don't-
Game Pass.
Because of Game Pass.
Yeah.
I don't think I've made the switch,
Nintendo Switch?
I haven't made the jump over to Xbox. However, there is a very unique value proposition in Xbox today with the more affordable console and their subscription service.
So, Zach, what does it feel like to sell out?
I'll get a PS5 when they get smaller.
But I also have a Switch that I totally forgot about. Because
we all do.
I think
I don't.
So I think you
Still
pick,
have that Wii.
generally you pick either the PlayStation or the Xbox, and then you get the Switch. You have the Nintendo. So I am a Nintendo guy as well.
I mean, up until recently, because the console wars have been flaming back up, but for 2 generations of consoles, the same games were on them.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of exclusives.
It didn't matter what you got.
Sony likes to boast about their exclusives, but there weren't a ton. Not enough to say, I need both. If you have one, you're generally okay. But now it's getting back to the point where they're just keeping exclusives.
Well, and that's going to get even more exclusives for Xbox because things are looking like they've
bought
through with
everything.
Activision.
Yes. So it is crazy. And then Nintendo just does whatever they want, and they own all their games, and they don't share.
Yeah.
I did own an Xbox 360 briefly.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the games I played on it. I think I played some Xbox Live arcade games. Those were kind of fun.
Well, speaking of games,
Let's do it.
we have a series of categories here that we'll be going through. Each one, we're going to pick a specific game and talk about it. And it should be fun. And hopefully you can play along at home and enjoy this if you're a video game player. And if not, this may tell you a reason to get a console.
Indeed.
Or 2 or 3 or 4.
And if you're in any of Jake's college classes, welcome.
That's true. Jacob has recommended people listen to episode 17
So
for
your
the past
podcast is in another
6
castle.
years.
I listened to the episode. It's not great, right? I mean, it's fun, but the quality is just a little.
Well, there's
iffy.
no way that
the quality has glaucoma.
There's no way that kids in college now knew half of the games we were talking about in that episode.
We had a good time with it, but he taught, quote unquote, a class and kept referring them to the episode. Now it's one of our highest rated lessons.
Yeah.
So here we
The
go.
weirdest thing.
Are we allowed to have any old games? Do I have to have new games?
Yeah. Well, Zach, you were not there with us.
No.
You talk about whatever you want.
Yay.
There are no restrictions on you, Zach.
I love it. So powerful.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, our first category is the game that made the console worth owning. And I really hope we have 4 different answers here because there's lots of consoles. Joel, what do you have?
I'm happy to start this off because this is one of my all-time favorite games. But I just want to bring attention
It's Pong, isn't it?
to
Such an old.
when Kent and I first started working together.
Oh, no.
2012.
It's Tetris.
And he showed up one day for Halloween wearing a costume.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I knew that he and I were going to be friends because he was Princess Peach. And no,
Hey, I worked there for like 4 months before Halloween. You waited 4 months to consider. It all makes sense.
we're still podcast acquaintances. But he dressed as Nathan Drake, and I
Yes, I
went,
did.
okay, this guy's he's kind of cool because I love the Uncharted series.
Okay.
I
Good choice.
am cheating a little bit in this one because I'm saying the series, but the Uncharted series is exclusively
That's totally
on
okay.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
I would say specifically, though, this would be the PS3.
It is PS3.
Yeah, it started out with the PS3. It was on the Vita. It was on the 4. It's available on Android, iOS. It's going to be available on PS5, and it's available on
Now,
Windows
did
too.
you discover it with the first one, Drake's Fortune, or the second one?
I started from the beginning playing the first
Oh, you did?
one. Yes.
Not many people did.
I only ever heard about it from the second one.
Yeah, because the second one caught fire, and then everyone
Because it was
went
like,
back and
oh,
played the first.
this is a movie, but a
yes.
game, you know?
I did not when it came out. I did not play it. It wasn't until a few years after. So like I got the PlayStation. This was there with it, and I went, "What is this game?" I turned it on. And I was like, "Hello, graphics!" Like there was
because
a
your
part,
experience of gaming was what before then?
It was basically the
N64. Oh, stop it!
No, I had a PlayStation 1 and everything.
Sure.
But this was one where I remember there was a part where there's a sunken submarine kind of a thing, and then you crawl up on this cliff, and you get up to the top, and it's this beautiful sunset over a jungle.
Totally.
And I literally stopped playing and just kind of looked around like, wow. Like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
As I play, Nathan Drake does a lot of climbing. Most of the game is climbing. But
Or shooting weird zombies.
And shooting. So many
Oh,
people.
I should
Incan
give
mummies or something,
I have a description
you know?
here. Nathan Drake and a group of treasure hunters travel across the world to uncover various historical mysteries. And this is an action adventure game. It's a third person kind of thing where you can see who you're playing with. A lot of shooting, a lot of climbing, but also a lot of puzzle. And that's one thing I liked about it. It wasn't just, killing a bunch of bad guys. You get into a room and you're like, how do I open this door? And you have to like flip this switch, move this thing over. But I just had so much fun playing it. And as I was climbing, there are parts when my palms would literally start sweating as I got up higher and higher on this cliff.
I get it.
Because it felt so realistic.
Mom's skinny.
What?
Palm sweaty.
Oh, I cannot. Also, there's some in this game is an adventure game akin to Indiana Jones, where
Tomb Raider with better gameplay, I would say.
Yeah,
Right.
But also
And
there
better
are
graphics.
there are some horror elements to it as well, where there's parts where I jumped out of my skin because something happened. Because there always at the end there's some sort of supernatural element.
Right, yeah.
It gets you a little creepy. This has shipped over 41 million units. It is one of the best-selling video game franchises, and it was the reason. Honestly, what happened was I kind of borrowed. I think it was an Xbox. And it was a PlayStation, and I had games for both, and I was
Okay.
playing on both. And this was one where I went, I want to go the PlayStation route.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. This is fun. I enjoy it.
Great pick.
It is a great pick.
Yeah, how many games are there? Four main games, I think.
Yep, and a side game.
And then a movie.
Lost
Oh, yeah, basically, right?
I have Uncharted 4, but I've never played it. It came with my PS4.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a lot of fun.
Can I play it without playing the first three?
Yes, although there's some
You're
story.
robbing yourself of some stuff, especially in 2 and
Play
3.
2 and 4.
Okay.
No, I say play the whole thing because at the beginning you get the mechanics, you get the base of the story, and it builds. It's one of those where if you jump into 4, a character will walk in and you'll be
Okay.
like,
Watch
"Oh, who's
watch
that?"
a movie style summary on YouTube.
Okay.
It is a story send-off.
It's like jumping into Goblet of Fire without having read Sorcerer's Stone.
Why'd you jump into a goblet of fire? I've probably I definitely have told this on Baconsale before, but I want to like Uncharted so much. But so I went to GameStop back when those existed, apparently,
Right.
and I got them all three of the first trilogy used on PlayStation 3, and I put them in. And the person I was with at the time made fun of me for how bad I was, and so I immediately went to GameStop, sold the games back to them, and I'm divorced. So
Yes,
I
you
don't,
took back the person. That's
I
good.
got rid of the person and I got rid of the games, and I have a lot of baggage with Uncharted, and
Don't
I don't
hate
know
the
if
Drake. Don't hate the Drake.
should I get back into them?
Absolutely.
Are they still worth it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. You know what? I'm willing to try it because my best friend Joel Hilton likes them.
Aw.
Kent, what do you got?
I want a best friend. Brian, you want to be best friends on this show?
Yes.
Yes.
We bring on guests, so Kent does a friend.
Thank you for doing that for me so much lately. So the game I've chosen is called Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Oh, this made the console worth owning?
I'm shocked.
Yeah, so this was originally released on the Wii U. And the Wii U apparently has good games. I never owned one, nor did anyone else.
Oh, well, no, kind of originally released on the Wii U.
Yeah, because it was the same time that the Switch was out.
It was released with the Switch,
Yes.
but
Made for the Wii U.
made for the Wii U, and then the Switch was so hard to get
Yeah.
that people were literally buying their copy of Breath of the Wild before they had the console.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Just to have it.
Yeah.
At one point, this game had outsold the console it was made for.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's, I'm glad you brought that up. This is the highest selling Zelda game and one of the best selling games of all time with 31 million copies sold.
I've never
This
played
game
it.
has done so well. Joel, I almost urge you not to, because when I started this one, it was mid-pandemic, and I was like, I have so much time to kill. I spent 105 hours on this game.
Whoa!
And I did really well. I think I almost platinumed the game.
How many
but
hours did you
still.
spend dating during that time?
4. Well, I watched a few movies.
Oh,
Never
okay,
mind.
yeah.
This one was released 2017, and yes, it was made for the Wii U console, and so it kind of looks like that, but at the same time, it's still a really beautiful game.
It does the Nintendo thing where the graphics aren't technically spectacular, but the art style's so good.
I've always thought of
up for it.
Nintendo more of as an animated movie
Yeah.
rather than
Right.
trying to be realistic.
So hear me out. The story's really going to blow you away. An amnesiac Link sets out to save Princess Zelda and prevent Calamity Ganon from destroying the world. Really deep story.
Isn't that like all of them?
Like, you know how like Mission Impossible share stories?
Oh, yeah.
Zelda.
Link is
Yeah.
disavowed.
But this is the first truly open world Zelda game, and it shows, and it's really fun to play like that. You have to get better gear to explore new areas, and it encourages you to explore. It is kind of annoying because your weapons break all the time, but that's part of the gameplay.
When you guys do open world games,
Yeah.
I mean, then if listener, an open world game means you don't have a defined path of where to go. You can just explore.
Right.
Do you guys just explore, or do you like point A to point B? I need to finish this game.
I do a little of both. I'm currently playing an open world game, and essentially I was like, I'm going to go through the story. Generally in open world games, there's something, you've got to go back for, or, you need to get better or unlock something or an ability or whatever, and go back and do it. Or, you just need to know more about the game. And so I'll go through until I feel some sort of power, like I'm kind of powerful in the game. And then I'm like, no, well, I can accomplish these side tasks. I'm not under leveled or whatever it is.
Oh.
So I'll generally go through story for maybe a third, and then I'm super sidetracked and it takes forever.
I'm the same way. In fact, there's a volcano in this game that I try to climb up pretty early in the game, and I didn't have enough hearts. I didn't have the gear for it.
Oh, no.
But I just wanted to find the secrets before I needed to. So, yeah, that's kind of how I play it.
Yeah, I'd like to be a little bit powerful.
Yeah.
in life.
Brian, what do you have?
What game
What I have
for the console?
is for PS4. It is the only reason I own a PS4.
I'm shocked.
And is going to be the only reason I'm going to own a PS5 for the sequel, and it's Spider-Man PS4.
Oh, what a
Such a good game. Such a good game.
What do you got against PS4? But anyways, go on with Spider-Man.
It's great. So
That's all you need to say.
yeah, it's really
is.
say.
All right,
it
Zack.
was the first game that I 100%ed
Me
when
too.
I bought it
Yeah,
in
right.
2019. And then
When you have to 100%, that means you have to find all the secret little pictures too. Which
Yep.
takes
I did all of it.
forever.
Backpacks.
I did all of it and all the DLC. I did
Downloadable content for
Yes,
listener out there.
DLC was
and
fun.
I did not do that for the Miles Morales one, but it was still okay. It wasn't as good as the original, the
Right.
first one.
That's
But
another one
when-
where I just perched on top of a building and just looked around for a while. I'm like, man, the graphics are great.
Yeah, swinging around the city is the best.
I tried to
so
find the New York
fun.
Temple.
No need to
wasn't
fast
there.
travel at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
It is, and it was great because Haley had no experience with it, and so when we got COVID, we just I played through it and Miles Morales, and she just watched, and it was great because it's
Yeah.
a long movie for her, and she loved it.
Because there is a
smooth.
story to it.
I still say that Spider-Man PS4 is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I like the story.
Yeah.
I like the characters, and there actually is a category later on that I really considered this game because it made me emotional and feel things, and in ways that I felt are better than more recent Spider-Man movies. So this is a wonderful choice, and so much so that I actually completely agree. And I said that I would not buy a PS5 until Spider-Man 2 came out.
Oh,
and it's looking great, by the way.
Money is where my mouth is, but I was right. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a PS5 because of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm going to wait until it comes out, but I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to do that.
Well, I'm not going to go long on mine. I don't got a lot to say, but I'm shocked that nobody picked Halo. As a PlayStation guy,
What? You're not a PlayStation. Oh, I think I'm an Xbox guy.
Zach,
as a
you're
PlayStation guy.
100% right.
that was the only game
Yes.
I was ever envious of. That's not my choice, but I guess it should be because it's Halo.
but we
It's
can only
specifically-
choose
Have
it
you
for
heard about
one end.
Halo
Fusion
2.
Frenzy or Brood Squad?
Who cares about those? Halo 3 was the reason to get the Xbox 360. Halo
Yeah.
2 is the reason to get the Xbox. It's Halo.
It's the
However,
reason.
I picked Wii Sports.
Wait,
Wii
you
Sports.
just got after us, and then you didn't even pick it.
Because I figured at least Brian would. So really, my answer is Halo. But I put Wii Sports because it's Wii Sports, man.
Yeah.
You could literally buy a console that came with arguably the best game for that console.
Like they
This-
tailor made that game so people. It's like a sampler platter of what the platform can do.
It's a product demo of what the Wii can do.
To the point, was it Wii Play was the second version of that, came out with a controller, and it's one of the highest selling games of all time
Yeah.
because they sold a controller with it.
Yes. Then there was Wii Sports Resort. I
Right.
believe they actually refer to it as the Wii franchise.
Yeah.
But
Wii Fitness.
came out in 2006. It was launched with the Wii, but they credit it with 82, almost 83 million sales.
What?
And
'Cause it's
but it's
big,
tricky,
yeah.
right? Because it made the console worth owning, and it came with the console.
Right.
So you could put it in nursing homes, and it was fine. Everyone's grandma had a Wii,
Yep.
and all they needed was the pack-in game.
That's
So
why they
this
wear
was-
diapers, by the way.
This was whatever, $300 for playing bowling,
Tennis,
bowling, tennis, golf, baseball,
Yep.
boxing.
You got to be careful when you throw that bowling ball backwards.
Yeah, everyone jumps.
I got really good at throwing it along the edge, and you'd unlock a little secret.
Oh, take
I
it
mean,
easy.
I was pretty good at this
Okay.
game. I played it a lot. I'm disappointed that you didn't pick Halo, and I also didn't. I picked Wii Sports. Next, we have the best game with the worst graphics.
I struggled the most
Against-
on this one because you can go indie or you can go old, right? Or because I don't know if there's like a lot of AAA games.
Is that like your bumper sticker? You can go
Indie-
indie or you can go old.
ladies.
Well,
So-
I mean, I don't have a lot to say, so I'm going to skip ahead of you real quick.
Yeah.
We'll just skip me when it becomes my turn. But I literally just picked anything that came out in 3D on the PlayStation 1 or the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
Because there's amazing games here. We're talking Mario 64, Metal Gear Solid.
because the polygons were so thick.
They're just the gameplay of the Super Nintendo and the graphics of the Super Nintendo still are great today.
Yeah.
Even the original Nintendo. And then to some extent, the PlayStation 2 and 3. But it's that PlayStation
chunky
1.
polygons.
Nintendo 64 is like, oh, Mario 64 is amazing, but it's hard to play.
Yep.
So what did you go with, Ken?
So I went with Katamari Damacy.
What is that?
So it was released on PlayStation 2
just
in
curse in
2004.
Italian?
Yes, I sure did.
it's the giant ball of garbage.
You're a little space prince wearing green.
Yes,
and
I
you-
am. But what is this game about?
And you push a ball trying to collect staplers and cats and shrubbery and people and buildings.
no,
and what
that's
you do.
Booger Man.
And it really is like this fever dream where everything is very blocky. Everything is just primary colors, essentially. and you're trying to make stars and constellations, and you're pushing progressively bigger things and collecting them in a very like magnetic or adhesive ball. The more you collect, the bigger the ball gets, and you can run over things and collect people and everything else like that too. It is a weird, trippy game, but it's so much fun. Great for kids as well. And the graphics purposely are very Sega Genesis-like.
What is the name of it again?
Katamari Damacy, and it's Katamari-Damacy. And there's been a few different versions of this through repeating consoles, and the graphics never get better because it's a charm to it. Purposely bad graphics, but the gameplay is so much fun.
What the heck is this game?
You need to play it. You might be able to find it for free at this point. There is actually a version on your phone as well. All right, Brian, what do you have?
I went with something that was nostalgia for me. Nostalgic. It came out when I was 5 years old in 2001.
Okay.
On PS1. It's the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. PS1.
Man, all I can see is Hagrid's face.
It's my word. I played this. Flipendo. I played this game so much.
I just had it resurfaced today so that I can play it again.
Get all the beans.
Yes, you search for the Bertie Bott's beans. You fight Draco with firecrackers that are called wizard crackers.
Because wizards don't have fire in their world.
No. It's just a platformer where you go about just finding items for other people, like Neville's Remember All and Raymond's Kitten, and you just end up in situations.
Was this game any fun?
I
had a lot of fun.
I played it a lot. This, I mean, it's essentially a third-person platforming shooter. It's so weird. But I think the Harry Potter hype was huge when it came out.
So it did well because of the movie.
And it does have a certain charm to it. But even then, even for the PlayStation,
it's an ugly game.
It is so ugly.
It is an ugly game.
I'm sorry. I just looked up pictures. Yes.
Did you look up Hagrid?
Yeah.
Really, well, at this point, like this, pictures in this style should just be our episode art. Because I mean,
What is wrong with him?
It's amazing.
You can't say that.
This I can't. Oh, Snape.
One time, too. So the main spell that you cast in the game is Flipendo.
Okay.
Which is funny because I don't remember that from any other media.
Can I guess what that does?
What?
'Cause I haven't played this game.
Yeah.
Does that flip people over?
No, it just shoots. It might as well just be bullet. It's really weird.
That's my favorite spell.
But for some reason, I don't know if I was watching a YouTube video of it or my game accidentally switched. But if you switch languages, it becomes like Flipendo. Flipendo.
Oh, I have played
what the heck?
You have?
No, this
Where you
is
have
a
to
great
draw
choice.
the symbol to do the spell.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have the flying sections that I could never get through,
No, those
where
are
you
hard.
have to fly through all the rings in a certain amount
There's
of time.
Hagrid's face again.
He's getting me into your nightmares now. That's a great pick.
I have probably sunk 100 hours in this game.
It's probably a 13-hour game,
Probably. Back in the day, you'd make do.
I looked up videos on YouTube, and they're typically the entire game about 3-4 hours.
Oh,
wow.
Jeez. People are playing it.
I played it
Zach.
so long.
All right, Joel, what do you
Joel?
have for bad graphics but great game?
Nuclear launch detected.
Oh.
I chose StarCraft
Okay.
because I played this game so much.
I love this game.
I love StarCraft.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate enough to marry a woman who also enjoys playing StarCraft, so we can play with each other. And it's just fun to play together and defeat the evil Zerg.
It's an epic love story right there.
StarCraft is one of those
Toy
games.
Story 2?
Yeah. That's ZURG. This is ZERG.
Oh, okay.
No, StarCraft is one of those games. It's like you're looking down from heaven. You're looking down on this game, and you have to build defenses. You're building up defenses and armies to then go attack other people. And I can read this thing here. It says, set in a future timeline in the 21st century. The game revolves around 3 intelligent species fighting for dominance. The Terrans, the Protoss, and the Zerg. And so each one of these races, the Terrans, Protoss, and Zerg, have strengths and weaknesses. And the best part is, they're not just the same thing with different skins.
Okay.
They have different abilities. You have to work them a different way and try to defeat people a different way. But they're all equal. Like, none here is the favorite. And I'll play with people and they're like, oh, I only play with Protoss. And other people are like, I'm Terran all the time, or I'm Zerg all the time. You got to watch out for those guys. But this is a Blizzard Entertainment game, and it is so much fun and so entertaining.
Do your eyes have to adjust if you were to play it now? Because back then, the graphics probably weren't awful, right? Or were they even at the time?
The problem with the graphics is you can't see much because it's so small and tiny. And you click on it, you get the little window of, oh, that's what it looks like.
But you kind of know what a shape of a building looks like.
Well, I mean,
from
you
the shape.
see it, but it's not bad, but it's not great.
Okay.
Like, especially now I go back and look at it. They did release Star Wars 2 Wings of Liberty with a little better graphics. Not a big fan of it. And they did remaster the original StarCraft. Now, you can find this one on the PC. This is where you mostly play this one here, but was available on the N64 as well.
Okay.
But if you have a chance to play StarCraft, it's a great strategy game, and it's real-time strategy, and it's just fun to play, and I really enjoy it. Some people enjoy it so much. My brother and his friend went to a tournament of StarCraft at Weber State University, I believe it was, and they're all playing, and they're watching everyone play, and they got out pretty quick, but as they were like kind of watching these people go by, this one guy walked up to someone else who was playing and tapped him on the shoulder, like, hey, congratulations, man. He's like, hey, thanks. And they're like, well, the tournament's still going. Why is he congratulating him? And he says, oh, he got married today. The guy was literally there the night he got married playing StarCraft.
No.
Don't do that, guys. But it's a fun game.
Was that person you?
No. I am not good enough for tournament level. So, yeah, there you go. StarCraft.
Okay, great pick.
Next up, we have our best long-running series. Brian, start us off.
So I was going to go with Doom. I don't have as much experience with Doom, so I chose one. It's not as old,
Okay.
but
For
it's
the
one
record,
that I have.
Doom's a good choice, but yeah.
It's a very good choice.
It's one that I have a lot of fun with, and it's Sniper Elite.
Okay,
The
tell
first
Tell us more
one
about this.
I've never played Sniper Elite.
The
What is this
first
on?
one, it is on. Should be on PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay.
First one came out in 2005.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a Call of Duty look to it.
Yeah, and so it's all set in World War II. Each game is a different section of the war. I guess theater of the war. So
Oh, sure.
3 is in Africa, 4 is in Italy, and 5, which is the most recent one, was in France. And it all follows Carl Fairborn, and he's an American sniper. And you go, and the plot of each one is very generic. It's, oh, the Germans have this bomb, we need to stop them from launching it. And,
Okay.
But the gameplay is semi-open world. You have 10 levels, but they're massive levels, and you can go about them however you want. There are side objectives you can do. The thing that really makes this stand out is it has bullet time and X-ray kills. So when you shoot them, it'll show slow motion the bullet, and it'll show all the
It's like Mortal
organs.
It's like Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah.
the fatalities. Anywhere on the body, it'll show the organs and the skeletal and everything, all the damage that the bullet does.
It's like
Exactly.
Flipendo. That's what happens in
That's
Harry
what
Potter.
Nintendo is
Flipendo.
missing, you know?
Yeah. You put the blood coat on. You're fine.
Right. I was playing when 4 came out. I was in college, and I had a roommate who was pre-med, and he just loved watching me because he loved how accurate the anatomy was on all of these shots.
Wow.
Each game has a DLC, downloadable content mission, where in every game you go and can kill Hitler in all the different amazing, just all these creative ways. And there are tons of ways where you can sneak in and kill him and get out.
Now, is this? I've been feeling to ask this. Is this one that you play one player, or do you play with other people? Or,
You can play it with 2 people.
but it's not
And
an online game.
It is. You can play it online, and there are multiplayer matches where you can play.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if
against
you're
people.
sniping each other or something like that.
You can, but it's not that great.
Okay.
But there's another mode where you've just got waves of enemies coming at you, but really it is all the campaign is where all the charm is, and you can play it with
Okay.
2 people, kind of strategize, go at different directions, and try to complete your objective as quietly as possible. Kind
Nice.
of almost
So it's all about-
Hitman.
So
Being
it is.
stealthy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say
Yeah.
stealth is key here.
Yes, because you can die very quickly if you get found. It's not an easy game. You
Yeah.
have to be stealthy.
My long-running series, there's a lot of good choices here. Obviously, Mario, Zelda,
Sure.
specifically Mario Kart. I mean, come on.
Mario Kart's great.
Mario Kart, I mean, we're arguably at the best version, and it's the 8th, technically 9th one. But mine is, I'm going to go close to my heart, keeping with the car theme, and it is Gran Turismo.
Oh.
I love the Gran Turismo franchise. For me, this is a system seller for the PlayStation
And that's a
1.
yeah. I was going to say it's a PlayStation game.
Yes, this is a PlayStation exclusive game. It released, the first version was 1997, running all the way up until Gran Turismo 7, which released in 2022. This is the sort of nerdy and grindy car game. It's called the Real Driving Simulator because they model the handling characteristics and acceleration and whatnot of the cars after their real life counterpart. And there is a certain amount of realism there.
Yeah.
Is it
like when you actually crash, it shows the inside of the car and shows the anatomy of what's being crushed.
Funny enough, they didn't add car damage until much later in the franchise, and it's not very good. That is an area that they've decided to struggle in. The big draw for this, especially in the PlayStation 2 era, was that it was graphically superior to anything you'd
It was
seen.
beautiful.
I mean, even
car.
looking back, the PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo 4, you're like, that still looks pretty good. PlayStation 3, you're like, no, that looks really good. And then, from the 4 and on, you're like, this is insane. It's like I said, it's a little grindy, but I like that grind.
Which angle is that? One where you can change the angle where you're inside the car or above the car or far away from the car?
And in the Gran Turismo 4, they introduced, you can actually be inside the car. There were certain vehicles, not everyone in the game, but certain vehicles that they modeled where you could see the steering wheel and the dash and the radio. And now moving forward in the franchise, you have all of them. To the point where the first car I tried to acquire in the game was a 2016 Mustang that I used to own. And I went in and looked in the interior, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's my car." That's the exact gauge.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's the screen that the digital gauge was on. It's like all this. It's insanely accurate.
In most racing games, I prefer just to be just above the car. For some reason, I don't like being in the car.
I don't either. I think it's only fun if you actually have a steering wheel peripheral device to be in that view. So but I also like to see the cars because they look so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite long running franchise. It's a little nerdy, but I will always buy a Gran Turismo game and enjoy it.
Do you know Gran Turismo's missing though?
What?
Turtle shells.
There we are.
I chose Mario Kart.
Yeah.
When he brought it up, I'm like, yes, because since the days of the NES back in 1992 to the Nintendo Switch, you can throw on any Mario Kart game, and there will be people who will be like, yes, I will play that. People enjoy this game in any way, shape, or form.
It is probably the ultimate anybody can play game.
Yeah. And you say things like Rainbow Road, and you just see everyone go, "Ugh." Now, this is a go-kart game. If you don't know what Mario Kart is, it's a go-kart game where you pick up various power items, and then you shoot them at each other or defend yourself, and features characters from mostly the Mario series, but you also get people from Zelda or Animal Crossing or Splatoon. Now, there are 14 games total of Mario Kart. 6 on home consoles, and then they have ones on handheld games as well.
Is this the cheapest series ever, if you're winning? Yeah, this is like the most communist game series out there.
Because the
blue shell
items that you get change.
Exactly. If you're winning, you're only getting green shells.
Dude, when I get the bullet, I'm happy and sad at the same time. Because I know I'm in the last, but man, it's fun to get that. Over 164 million copies in the series have been sold worldwide. And each game has brought something new and new characters. The Guinness Book of World Records has 6 records from the Mario Kart series, including first console kart racing game, best-selling racing game, and longest kart racing franchise. And in fact, Guinness Book of World Records ranks Super Mario Kart #1 on the top 50 console games of all time, based on initial impact and lasting legacy.
Yeah,
because everyone loves Mario Kart. I literally was playing Mario Kart earlier today.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Which one?
Wii.
Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah.
No, Mario Kart
Wii.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch is just amazing.
It's fun.
But my favorite is still Mario
64?
Kart Double Dash.
Double Dash is the best
on
one,
the GameCube.
actually.
It had a really fun game mechanic where you switch. You chose 2 drivers, and each driver had a specific item, and so you could pair them up strategically. Toad and the Red Koopa, by the way.
Oh.
And
Wario and Waluigi all day.
I was always for acceleration, the smaller vehicles in Mario Kart.
Okay.
I always go for the smaller one because you fall down so much and you get blown up.
Yeah.
No, but I think this is the most accessible video game.
That thing's my 5-year-old's playing, and we're playing.
Yeah, so especially now because they've included literally like it'll steer for you and it'll accelerate for you, and so the kids can still play and have fun
and not fall off and go backwards the entire time.
I'm legitimately getting emotional. My almost 5-year-old stepdaughter. This was now her first game she played just a couple weeks ago. She played and she was so proud of herself. She's like,
that's awesome.
She turns out, Mom, I'm playing video games because she just wants to be like her big brother. And it was so dang cute. And that just goes to show this game is fun for everybody.
Yep.
Speaking of games that are fun for the entire family, I chose God of War.
Yes, of course you did.
It was first released on the PlayStation 2 in 2005, and there's been 8 official games, though 3 of those have been on portable consoles. Now, really, I want to talk about why it's a great long-running series, because you have the first 3, which are really just hack and slash, a lot of quick-time events, and they're very specific.
Bombastic. Big.
Yes, totally bombastic.
Gory.
Bombastic.
Really fantastic.
So the lead character's name is Kratos. He's a Spartan warrior. He's sent by the Greek gods to kill Ares, the god of war. And then he realizes that he needs to kind of take on that role of the god of war. And then he ends up, through that trilogy, spoiler alert for God of War that ended in 2010, you have to kill every single Greek god because they've all wronged you in some way. So you're just this crazy, angry warrior the entire time.
It is like metal. You know,
it's
like,
totally metal.
Because your skin is gray because you wear the ash of your dead family.
They call you the ghost of Sparta.
It's like this, but best glow up in video games ever.
Well, and that's why this is a long-run series, because those games, they're seen.
How many games are there?
So there's 8.
Okay.
But 5 official like home console ones.
Mainline.
Now we've joked about the God of War series for obvious reasons because they're a little immature, as we know.
Yeah.
Right. There's some really inappropriate stuff there.
They're more for boys.
Yeah, boys.
Boy.
But then they decided to relaunch the series with a new story altogether in 2018, and now there's been 2 of those that instead of the Greek world, they take place in the Norse kingdom. And so you're taking on Odin and Thor.
Yeah, so it's God of War Love and Thunder.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. And you have a son, you have a wife who's just died, and you want to go throw her ashes off the highest mountain in the 9 realms.
Yeah.
And it's a different it's different gameplay, but the gameplay in both series is fantastic, but different enough.
Yeah, the reboot God of War, but also called God of War 4,
Yes.
God of War 2018. It goes from, we're just going to be a big bombastic video game where you just push a bunch of buttons, and it literally turns into a one-take cinematic experience. It's this big one, like this continuous camera throughout your entire world. I mean, they literally have settings that you can go and change the camera shake.
Right.
Because it's like, a shaky cam in a movie.
Yes.
And it's fascinating.
So the series has evolved with the player. If you are interested, play them from the beginning because they're all pretty great.
Yeah, those early ones are fun, and particularly the boss battles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now we have the best movie tie-in game. Now, let's talk about this for a minute. Movie tie-in games are like games that are released because the movie's coming out, and notoriously they are bad. I mean, the most famous is E.T., the extraterrestrial for Atari, that was so bad, it literally caused an entire collapse of the video game industry, and copies were buried in the New Mexico desert.
Yeah. But there have to be good ones, right?
There are some good ones out there, and to me, there is none better than 2003 hack and slash video game Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Yeah. My answer too.
Amazing.
That is also my answer.
Whoa!
It's the best. It's by far the best. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. That was awesome because
Came out of nowhere, right?
there was a garbage video game tie-in for Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
It wasn't any fun. So then Electronic Arts puts out The Two Towers, and it's straight out of the movie. Obviously the graphics don't match up to it, but you didn't know that at the time. They literally had clips from the Peter Jackson movies, and you would play out a scene, and then it would go into a battle, and then it would fade into the battle, the game, and you're playing, and you're in there. That Two Towers game, it was single player, and then they released Return of the King, and it was multiplayer, simultaneous, cooperative, amazingness.
You could be Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo, or Sam.
And Faramir.
And Faramir.
Gandalf.
Why would you, though?
Not Boromir, though.
Yeah.
No, he had the range. I had Gandalf, because he could shoot his magic. But this game was the sleepover king.
Absolutely.
You're hanging out with your buddies, and you're
Joel,
like,
did you ever play this one?
No.
It's a great co-op game. You can play it now with your kids.
So fun.
It's great.
Which platform is it on?
PS2.
Is it available online?
It might
Might be.
For PS4 or PS5?
maybe playable at some point on PS4.
Yeah.
But it felt like playing the movie, which is funny because I played this game before I saw the movie.
Well, actually,
And I was a kid.
this game,
Young.
this game did come out before the movie, and it had story elements. So Peter Jackson asked people to wait to play this game.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Zach, you broke the rules.
The book didn't exist?
No, the movie was out. I wonder if Frodo's going to defeat Sauron.
Apparently, there was a Game Boy Advance version
I played it.
where I never did, but your playable characters, according to Wikipedia, source of all knowledge and truth,
Indeed.
are Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo, and Eowyn.
Oh.
Who wasn't in the PS2 version.
Second best Eowyn, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no Aragorn.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wonder why.
Because he's off recruiting the army.
Oh.
I don't know. Because in the PS2 version, the going to the ghosts.
Yeah.
that's a dope level.
Yeah, it really is. So Joel, now tell us why you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I will give you credit for not having played this game.
Yes,
So
never played
this
it.
can be the best one that you have played.
Well, I cheated. I cheated just a little bit because I'm choosing Marvel Spider-Man in Tobey Maguire's outfit. Because the short version is, guys, I absolutely loved Spider-Man, and I got knocked out of the category I had it in, and I'm like, I want to include it
We can
somewhere.
also future shows. You know that, right?
I know, but
We're not gonna.
There are some good Spider-Man games of the Tobey Maguire movies.
Spider-Man 2 is great.
Spider-Man 3
2,
even
but I hadn't
has
played that.
Morbius,
But I remember
has Lizard.
Kent let
yeah.
me borrow this game, and I was like, sure, I'll play a Spider-Man game. I have no problem with that. And just the mechanics of swinging through the city and being able, the mechanics of fighting when you're sitting there using all the different combinations and gadgets, I was like, I feel like I'm Spider-Man, and I'm really enjoying this.
Right.
And there were obvious, this did come around the time of when, Spider-Man was getting a little bit of a resurgence, and
Right.
so I considered it a very loose tie into what was happening, based on the fact that you can use skins in like Iron Spider, and which, by the way, I don't know what kids' obsession with skins is these days.
Yeah.
My kids will spend like half an hour figuring out what their character looks like before starting gameplay, and I'm so bored by that. I'm like, use the default, move on.
Okay, so is Tobey Maguire's skin your favorite?
That's the one I used most of the time. Was that okay? Let's clarify what you just meant by that. In the game, you can use different Spider-Man outfits, and they have the classic Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit.
Did he put the lotion on the skin? What was that?
That is the one I primarily.
That's what you played in the game
most of the time.
Okay, I
yes.
was Scarlet Spider.
I don't remember the name. It was the one with the leather jacket and the jeans.
Oh, yeah.
That was my main once I unlocked it. And I did the Noir skin a little bit.
Oh,
too.
Noir is great.
Yeah.
Zach was the boxer's one, I'm pretty sure.
with the bag over his head.
Yeah.
No, I did go with the Tom Holland one a little bit. It looks
That's
a little
fine
bit.
too. Hey,
It
that's a
looks-
good suit.
It looks good in the game.
Ken. Anyway, so that was my cheat, but I think that's the thing is I'm not wrong
It's a
in the
great
sense that we all
choice,
love
right.
that game, but it was a little bit of a shoe-in.
Well, it is meant to tie in because you do have Avengers Tower in that game and everything.
Yeah,
too.
you
It
have the
does
Stark
kind of
Tower.
tie into the MCU in a way.
it does.
You can tie into Daredevil.
Yeah,
also,
slightly.
and-
There's stuff that happens in the game that, like, okay, this is revolving around the same stories, but it's set
Enough.
on Earth 1048
I
or
think
something
so.
like that.
Yeah.
It's a different planet, but I felt it was appropriate here. So there you go.
Honorable mention to there's a Wolverine game that came out surrounding a Wolverine movie.
Origins Wolverine, surprisingly great game.
So good.
But even though Wolverine Origins is terrible,
Yes. Yes and yes.
yeah, like the game was pretty brutal
It's fun to
and
play.
kind of fun. Yeah. Like Wolverine actually translates to video games pretty well. Who thunk? Now let's do our best video game soundtrack, starting with you, Joel.
gentlemen, I challenge you, and listener, I challenge you as well. Try not to move while listening to this. I ask you, what is a better soundtrack than a soundtrack that you create and can put whatever you want on
Stop
there?
it.
This is from Beat Saber, which is a virtual reality game. You can get on the PS4. We primarily play it on the Oculus Quest. But this is...
You're a dubstep guy.
Yeah, a
Just
little
say
bit.
it.
This is a virtual reality rhythm game. This is one like a Guitar Hero like that, where you're trying to hit in the beats, but you're in this 3D environment, this virtual reality environment, as these blocks are swinging past you, and you've got to hit them with lightsabers. So you already know I'm in. I'm holding lightsabers. This shipped with 10 songs, but then you can download things like Imagine Dragons, Panic! At the Disco, Green Day, Linkin Park, BTS, Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish. If that weren't enough, they actually do have some modifications that you can do where you can put your own music on there and you can create your own beat maps.
Only
they
on
call
PC.
them.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is fantastic. Kent, you introduced me to this one as well.
So fun.
And this is one of the reasons I chose this soundtrack. 'Cause I'm like, not many soundtracks out there make me want to exercise. But that starts playing, and I am totally
Start
in on it.
swinging your arms in different directions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Beat Saber is a very, very fun game. Kids and adults can play it alike, and it's a good workout. It's fun to play, but I put it on here best soundtrack because there's a couple songs that I've actually put on my playlist.
Oh, I get it.
Even though I'm not playing Beat Saber, I still really like the music. So Beat Saber was my choice.
That's
Interesting.
awesome. All right, I went with a random game. It's called Persona 5.
Oh,
What is
okay.
Persona 5?
Persona 5 came out in
It's going to school.
2016, came out in the PS3, and it's about a new kid at school. This is a very anime-inspired game. Essentially, this becomes a high school drama and a metaphysical heist. So you recruit other students, and there are really, really horrible people in the city. And kind of plays an Inception sort of thing, where during the day, you guys go to classes, you learn stuff, whatever, about the culture. And then at night, or at a certain time, you and your team jump into the minds of these people that represent the 7 deadly sins. And these people have these things called, like, kind of like Sherlock, it's like a brain palace, where you go in there and you have to fight monsters in an RPG style, and then eventually get to the big boss. Yes.
What do you say about people who like anime?
They're perfect.
Okay, just want to point that out in this
And
for no reason right
you're,
now.
You're defeating the perverts in this game. Not me, because I don't like anime.
But what's the soundtrack like?
Oh, the soundtrack is acid jazz. And I don't like jazz music either, but there are 110 tracks here. The composer's name is Shoji Meguro, and he does such an amazing job. This is the kind of music where you could put it on the background and do homework too.
Okay.
Because it's just all so chill. Because a lot of the game, you're just going to city and you're going to shops, and they have a different theme to everywhere you go, and it all fits perfectly. It almost puts you in like a kind of a noir Japan, essentially. And it all feels so cool. So even listening to this music independently of the game is great. But yeah, Persona 5 has the most consistently great music.
Okay. I look
It's
forward to
nerdy.
hearing it. I'll look it up because I
But
like
it's
a good
great.
soundtrack.
I mean, anime has good music.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I actually use it to exercise.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Perfect.
It's bad. Brian?
So mine, just hearing it takes me back to 2007. I have a little short clip to play for you guys, and it just hits the nostalgia so much just hearing this.
Good job.
There it was.
Good job.
Jesu Domine, Domine is Requiem.
If you don't sing the Halo theme in a public bathroom, have you ever lived? Are you even a person?
But then the people in the stalls will be singing along with you, and that's breaking the rules.
Oh, okay. But it's great.
I have numerous songs from specifically Halo 3 because
because you said
Halo 3 was my
2007.
first exposure to really first-person shooters. We'd go over to my friend's house and we'd play Call of Duty 4 and Halo 3. And it's so nostalgic for me. It has a great soundtrack by Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, and the Warthog run at the end with the electric guitar while you're racing against the clock to get out.
So not just the theme, but the entire score.
The entire score for the entire game is amazing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, for people who don't know what Halo is, do you want to give them a brief synopsis of the story?
It's a Beyonce song.
You're a genetically altered super soldier in the future fighting aliens.
Okay.
That's a really good summary.
Yeah.
Mine is the most hipster choice on this list.
More than Persona 5?
I don't know.
Mine is a 2012 game called Journey.
Is the soundtrack by Journey? Is the soundtrack by
it
Journey?
is not.
I love Journey so much.
The band?
Yes, them too.
This, just a quick synopsis, a robed figure in a desolate world undertakes a journey toward a distant glowing mountain. And this is it's a really bizarre kind of indie game, and it's all about the atmosphere. You're walking through, again, this desolate world. And
making best friends.
And making friends with people, and your scarf gets long. And no, but the whole...
Joel, this game may be $3 if you want to play it today.
I'm looking at it. It looks interesting.
And here's my recommendation.
I'm Googling everything you guys are
I
saying.
recommend everybody play this game.
Yes.
Like everybody.
What is this on? Is it just PC?
I've played it on PlayStation.
I've mentioned this before, but
sure.
I started playing this one at about 11 o'clock at night once. And it's only about a 3-hour game, maybe
if
tops,
that,
maybe 2.
you can get it done in probably an hour, but just set aside, what I say is set aside movie time. It's probably about 2 hours.
And I played it until I beat it because I made a friend along the way and we beat the game together. Literally made me cry.
Yes, it is. It's a game that, so the first time I ever played it, I played it kind of in the middle of the night.
Yeah, same.
And again, I found like a buddy. And then one time I played it in a more...
Were you my buddy?
Maybe. And then I played it in a more populous time.
Yeah.
And there are like more people in
Yeah,
this
there
game,
are.
and I made more buddies.
Oh, so there are like real online people out
you
there?
can't talk to him, and you just push a button and it goes, brr, 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 like a Nintendo game almost. Like, stuff like that. But you just know someone's there and they're playing along with you.
Yes, and you're going
weird.
on
No
this
communication.
this journey together, and it's one in a series of games made by this particular developer who makes just really chill games.
You guys are literally saying the journey is the friends you made along the way.
It is,
Yeah.
it is. Well, and you walk up the. I don't want to get into it.
And it's so symbolic.
Stop. But one of the most beautiful things of this game, in addition to the very simple but beautiful art style, is the music. It's heavy on the cello, which I always appreciate. It was composed by Austin Wintry, who also worked with the sound designer and programming team to make sure that the music would dynamically tie into the actions of the player. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild does this really well as well, where you're not just listening to the soundtrack as you play. It will loop in a certain way and wait until you get to a certain moment, and then the song will advance, and you just feel like
Kingdom Hearts, when the villain song keeps playing over and over and over and over and over again.
You had to bring
dance,
that up.
fire, dance. But so you feel like you're watching a movie that's being scored for you. That nobody's ever done this but you, but the music still perfectly fits what you're doing. It honestly is something you can just listen to right now. Maybe, on the drive home, Joel, just pull it up. You can listen to the entire score in an hour.
Okay.
and it's good homework music.
Or maybe
it's
I'll
good
play it.
It's good relaxing.
It does sound intriguing.
Yeah.
Maybe watch maybe don't watch a trailer or anything. Maybe just play it. Like
I'll jump
just
in.
trust us. It's good, and jump in and have a good time.
Mental note.
But block off enough time that you can play through the entire thing. This isn't
in one sitting.
This is best done in one sitting.
Okay. Surprised no one picked Skyrim.
Yeah.
That was one of
It's
those
good music, actually.
That was one of the ones that I think not overshadowed, but like superseded the game. I've never played the game, but the soundtrack is really good.
I was gonna pick it, but I took an arrow to the knee. So. Now we have the best villain.
If you were to Google best video game villain,
Yeah.
there's only one choice, and it's Sephiroth.
You're gonna pick Sephiroth.
From Final Fantasy
I knew
VII.
you'd pick Sephiroth.
I mean, it's Sephiroth. He's the effeminate-looking, silver-haired.
He's an
He's in Kingdom Hearts.
He's an unlockable boss in Kingdom Hearts.
He's in Kingdom Hearts.
He's got the long, narrow sword.
Didn't he make you cry once?
We don't need to bring that up. Why is this show the show where I cry a whole bunch? I don't even know. But yeah, he's got the long sword, and he is
video games more than people.
It's like how we talk about sad movies, and I'm all bawling over here. And now we're talking about video games, and both Ken and Zach have gotten emotional.
So Sephiroth is so good. Oh, by the way, the game is Final Fantasy VII. I've talked about this on previous PlayStation shows. Yeah, a little bit, right? And this was released on the PlayStation 1997. Do you guys want me to go over the synopsis at all?
Please.
Okay, so there's the main character. He's blonde, spiky hair. He's got a big, thick sword.
It's a weird synopsis so far.
But his name is Cloud. He joins forces with many others to save the planet, which is threatened by a corporation and his nemesis, Sephiroth, and discovers a reason to fight for a cause other than his own. So, yeah, Sephiroth has his own theme song called One Winged Angel, which is just incredible, which I'll be playing right behind where I'm talking right now. And this is a character that did fight for the good guys at once. He saw himself as a very specialized warrior, and then he realized he's just a product of subhuman experimentation. Spoiler alert, a little bit. And he just lost it and decided, hey, if I'm that, I'm going to just destroy the world, and I don't care. Just by the look, by the score, and by the very awful things he does, immediately makes him probably a villain to beat
Sure.
of all video game history.
In a game that I wondered if you would put best game, worst graphics.
Almost did, but it had to be best villain more than anything,
for sure.
Yes, but the graphics are horrible.
Is this this has been re-released on more modern consoles? Is it
Yeah,
worth
they did the
playing?
remaster, and then the villain angle changes a little bit because the story changes a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the full blown remake.
Yes.
because there is the
You can play kind of slightly updated graphics for this game, and you should.
Yeah.
So-
It's like the Nintendo Switch, for example. You can play Final Fantasy VII on the Switch, but you can play Final Fantasy VII Remake
Yes,
on
remake.
PS5.
Yes, that's the one.
It's confusing.
I know.
Should I play it?
Absolutely, you
Okay.
should.
Okay.
All right, Brian, what do you have for the best villain?
So this is a game that almost made the best soundtrack for me.
Go on.
And it is Far Cry 5.
Okay.
And the villain is Joseph Seed.
5, not 3?
I didn't.
3 is the big one.
I replayed it, and I didn't find Voss to be that great of a villain. He's only in
Hot
half
take.
of the game.
What is Far Cry about?
Each game is different, and so Far Cry 5 specifically is the first one not to be set in a fictional country, I believe. I haven't played the earlier ones. I played 3, 4, 5, and 6, and New Dawn, which we don't talk about. 5 is set in Hope County in Montana, so a fictional county in Montana where a cult has taken over everything, and you go in to arrest Joseph Seed, the leader of this cult, and that everything just kind of kicks off from there. And they end up taking over the whole county, and you have to fight back. You have to fight. He has siblings, John, Jacob, and Faith. Not Jingleheimer Schmidt, though.
Right.
I finished it in my head, though.
This is a first person shooter then.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. But Joseph is the main villain, and he really doesn't do a lot through the game. But what he does is he has influenced these people to be evil. And the worst part is I'm going to spoil Far Cry 5.
Uh-oh.
5, 6, 7, 8, whatever.
You're going to spoil 5, 6, 7, and 8?
The only good ending for Far Cry 5 is to leave at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
What?
You can leave at the beginning of the game, not arrest him, and just leave and the game's over after about 20 minutes.
What? It's trippy.
And
Then what happens?
You can
Is
end
it like
you can end 4 the
you
same
go
way.
home?
Yeah, you just go home and
Like
the
that's
game's
the
over.
good ending. It
don't
doesn't
go home?
It doesn't end well for you, no matter what.
But at the end of the game,
It's like a horror game.
you can choose to leave him alone again, but it doesn't end well, and you still end up dying.
Should I play this
Or
game?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The real ending, I guess, because New Dawn piggybacks off of this ending. You find out that by fighting against Joseph Seed, you're just fulfilling his prophecies, and then at the end, nukes go off, and you end up getting to a bunker, and the only people that survive are you and Jacob and or Joseph, and you're locked in this bunker with him, and that's the end of the game.
Ooh, yay!
Right. And so you find out
I don't want to be locked in the bunker with Jacob.
He has been right the entire game, and you have been. I mean, they've been doing bad things, but you've been the villain to him and to his prophecies the entire game.
That's a fun twist.
Yeah.
You know who I hate? I'll read my synopsis. Actually, I can't hate him, but you'll see. A new group of adventurers arrives on the frontier planet Pandora. They are assassinated by Handsome Jack, the most powerful merc on the planet. One of them survives with the help of a deranged talking robot and seeks loot and revenge. This is Borderlands 2. Handsome Jack.
He's amazing.
I hate him, but I love him.
He's so charismatic.
I love him, and he's so cool. And I just want to be shot in the face by him. It's just
there's something about him.
It's a complicated relationship. He is well spoken. He's intelligent, but he's that classic villain.
One step ahead of you all the time.
Yes, he's just plain evil. He's a kick the puppy evil.
What is Borderlands about, and what platform is it on?
Borderlands is multi-platform. Borderlands specifically 2. There's multiple games in the franchise. I didn't really care for Borderlands 1, but I really like Borderlands 2.
First-person shooter.
It's a first-person looter shooter. So you're going around this world and you're getting stuff and you're upgrading your guns, and it has a lot of RPG elements. You can play different characters that have different play styles. But overall, it's a first-person shooter, and I think it's notable for both it's kind of they call it the looter shooter gameplay, but also for its kind of cell shaded graphic style, and that's really helped it age extremely well because once again it's not like trying to be the peak of graphical quality. It's trying to have a cool art style, and anytime a game does that, it ages better. And so these are fun, irreverent, not always family friendly games. But they have a certain style to them that's really fun, and I think Handsome Jack really contributes to that because he is just this over-the-top, larger-than-life character that you have a really good time with, and then you actually end up playing with in the Tales of the Borderlands, which was like a story follow-up to the events of Borderlands 2, made by Telltale Games, and they do a lot of these like kind of story
Walking Dead
games.
and whatnot,
Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, stuff like that. And but yeah, he's a crazy villain that is really
it's a great pick.
He's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there you go. What do you think, Joel?
You guys all mentioned pretty, villainous villains, but to me, the worst villain is someone who promises you cake and then doesn't give you cake.
Oh, yeah.
Because I chose GLaDOS from Portal. If you know what the Portal series is, it's available originally on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I played it mostly on the PC. It's a first-person puzzle platform. So it centers around a woman forced to undergo a series of tests within the Aperture Science and Enrichment Center, where a malicious artificial intelligence named GLaDOS controls the facility. So you have this gun, the portal gun, that opens like a wormhole. So you can put one on one side of the room and one on the other side of the room and just walk through it. But the whole point of the game is all you got to do is get from point A to point B. And when you first start out, there's this nice little robot voice like, "Hi, how's it going? Here to help you figure out how to do this little test. Let me help you." But as the game goes on, you start to realize more and more that GLaDOS is trying to kill you and that GLaDOS hates you and hates you in every way, shape, or form. Now, it'd be one thing to have just an evil computer, but the way they wrote GLaDOS is so well done because she is hilarious and evil. And it's just fun. Every time she talks, sometimes you tune out the background voices. Yeah. When she talks, I stop and listen because I'm like, sure. What's she going to say? I did talk about her a little bit before on episode 174, Robot Roll Call, and I gave some quotes. I want to give a couple more now, a couple quotes that she does. So, for example, she says, "Despite your violent behavior, the only thing you've managed to break so far is my heart." Or, "I'm afraid you're about to become the immediate past president of the Being Alive Club." And then you destroy something at one point, a cube that is destroying kind of her, but she says, "You know what that did? It made shoes for orphans. Nice job breaking it, hero." And then finally, one thing she says that cracks me up every time. "Here come the test results. You're a horrible person." That's what it says. A horrible person. We weren't even testing for that. And she's the best, and she's the worst. And so when she appears again in Portal 2, it really is fun to be like, oh, here we go again. Because she full on wants to kill you and hates everything about you. But you love her because of it, of how just nasty.
You don't want to be shot in the face by her.
No. She's like the Lucille Bluth of video games, where it's like, man, she's horrible, but highly entertaining. So yes, GLaDOS from Portal.
Now let's talk about your favorite first-person shooter.
Pew, pew, pew.
You already said Halo 3.
I did. So I've got to go with the gamer bro answer with Call of Duty.
Oh, Brian.
What's
I have
wrong with
played
Call of Duty?
So much.
Multiplayer, yes. Multiplayer is toxic.
Yes, totally toxic. Which one is your favorite?
I'm doing series in general. World at War
Great
was the first one I played, or the first one I owned. First one I played was the original Modern Warfare. It was before World at War.
So Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare?
Yeah, Call of Duty 4 Modern
It's
Warfare.
confusing.
It really is.
Because now they've rebooted it, and they
It's just
had
Call of Duty
Modern
Modern
Warfare
Warfare.
2019, and now they're on Modern Warfare 2.
I was hoping someone would bring up Call of Duty because it is like one of those
It's too
first-person
important.
No,
shooters.
it's the big one.
Yeah.
It's
Everyone plays
the
it.
highest selling game out there.
I've played every single one since almost every single one. I didn't play Black Ops 4.
Okay.
But I've played at least the campaign of every single one since Call of Duty 4.
And the campaigns are what, about an hour each, 2 hours each?
About 6 to 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know they put that much work into it.
Yeah, they're about
You
6
know,
to 8 hours.
It's war,
It's-
Kent.
It's actually sad. They put a good amount of work into the campaigns,
just know
and
it.
they're very good.
Okay.
And
They're
nobody
a
plays
lot
them.
of fun. They're really well produced. They're like their little movies. They even legitimately get actors in them. Kit Harington's been in them. Kevin Spacey was in one.
That's the only way I played, honestly. I don't do the online stuff.
It's underrated how good COD campaigns are.
But I've been having a good time with it. Haley even plays it with me a little bit.
Okay.
And then it's got the zombies mode, which is
Zombies is fun.
awesome. But those are typically only in trailers. So there are 3 studios that make them. There is Infinity Ward, which started it all, and they now make
With Thanos.
Yeah. They all make the Modern Warfare. They made Ghosts. They made
Infinite Warfare?
Infinite Warfare, which the campaign was amazing.
Yeah.
It got so much hate. It was one of the most disliked videos on YouTube, the trailer for it. But the game was actually one of the best.
Wasn't that the trailer? There's a meta there, but wasn't that the one that came out right after Battlefield 1?
Yes.
Which is the greatest video game trailer of all time.
Yes. This one came out right after.
Nope, 100%.
Debatable.
Dead
Nope.
Island called.
Dead Island.
Well, your shooter is popular. It's well liked. It's considered to be a very good game. The one I picked is kind of not that, but I love it anyway. It's Star Wars Battlefront, but the one from 2015.
It's a great game.
This is when EA, Electronic Arts, took over the Star Wars game license, and there was Battlefront back in the day. And I can't remember when it was released. And,
It was
around the
Xbox
time-
PS2 era.
Yeah,
era.
it was around the time, just after the prequel movies had come out, and these were extremely popular. There were these fun shooters where you've got a bunch of people on your team, a bunch of people on your team. You can do deathmatch stuff. You can do some objective-based stuff. They were really popular games that I'd never played. Well, then Electronic Arts comes in and says, we are going to give you an original trilogy experience. It's going to be very cinematic, but you're going to be able to be a soldier within these battles that you've seen from the movies. The team that developed it's called DICE. They make the Battlefield games. And so it's like, oh, you're making a basically Star Wars Battlefield game? Cool. And it was met with a lot of disappointment, but it is genuinely one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. The sound design is top notch. You genuinely feel like you are in Star Wars. And I sunk hundreds of hours into this game. It is to date the only game I've ever played online where I knew at any point I could compete with anybody.
Oh, nice.
I was consistently top third of leaderboards in games. I was oftentimes at the top. I had my games that I was good at, my modes that I was good at, and I loved it, and I played it all the time. Then they made Battlefront 2, and it was really controversial on launch, so I didn't buy it, and I never jumped on the train in time. And so even though Battlefront 2 is a better game, I've never really played much of it.
Okay.
And I kind of missed it.
But it's a Star Wars first-person shooter?
Star Wars first-person
How did I
shooter.
not play this?
I would highly recommend you play. There's a pretty interesting campaign for Battlefront 2 that I believe is considered canon at this point. Worth playing. But it'd be a few hours. You bounce
PS4?
around. PS4 would be available. Yeah.
Okay.
You should do it, Joel.
All right, gentlemen, slappers out.
Oh, jeez.
Because of course I had to pick, because this wasn't like best first-person shooter, this was favorite.
Yeah.
And so I chose one that kind of got me really into the genre, which was GoldenEye 007.
So good.
Best game with worst graphics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it almost made that
Yeah,
one.
for-
Because the
first
graphics
thing-
look terrible.
It's on
thing that came to
Xbox
mind.
now.
It is it?
It is on Xbox and it's on Game Pass.
and Switch Online.
So this was on the N64. It came out in 97, just in between GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies. This is one of the best-selling Nintendo 64 games of all time, only beat out by Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Kart 64. So this is kind of like the non-Mario game to rule them all. And everyone kind of had kind of a, not a lot of excitement for it when it was coming out because they're like, this isn't going to work.
It's a licensed game.
Yeah, so this is one of those movie tie-ins where it's
Sure.
like, no, this is going to be crap. And the graphics weren't great. But at the time, we just didn't care because this was so much fun.
It changed the first-person shooter industry.
It did.
Yeah.
This was originally was supposed to be the side-scrolling game, but then they decided to do this whole 3D shooter inspired by Doom and Virtua Cop and those types of games.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can play the campaign. Sure, you can play the story. But play with friends, and it's a whole amazing experience. This is that sleepover type game, which we talked about on episode 337, the Schoolyard Pick of Video Game Parties. And when I saw a favorite first-person shooter, I went, it has to be GoldenEye 007.
What a great pick.
Yep. Never plays Jaws, always Odd Job.
Because he's shorter. He's harder to hit.
Odd Job is harder to hit, and Jaws is taller, so it's easier to hit.
Yeah, indeed. I'd like to apologize to Halo because none of us have mentioned Halo in this one, and I put so many hours into Halo.
Not officially.
Yeah, not officially. But
that almost made my cut.
This is, I guess this is brought to you by Halo.
It's brought to you by Halo. It is such an amazing
he
show.
picked Halo.
I did
Halo
it
3.
for the soundtrack.
Oh, there we go.
But I'm choosing one that I feel has a great campaign. In fact, the campaign's probably better than multiplayer, but also has co-op, and it's Borderlands 2. This is the best.
There you go.
My favorite first-person shooter.
Gotta play it.
I didn't even mention it. This is a co-op game because I don't have friends. But this is the co-op is the way to play this.
I'll be your friend. So the point of this game, like Zach said, this is a looter shooter. There are 18 million different variations of weapons available. And it's of all different element type or strength level. And it's just ridiculous how much there is in this game. And the boss battles are really unique. Like Zach said, the color palette is awesome. The landscapes are really fun to play in. It's just always busy. And so it's so much fun. We've already kind of talked about it to death.
There are some real kooky characters that you can talk to
and that's the thing,
play with.
There are 4 character types you get to play as, and one's like an assassin, or one's the brute, or one it has magic.
Who
so
do you
it
play
changes your game style. It's a little bit like Diablo, but a first-person shooter.
Who do you play?
Oh, I am the sniper always.
I'm Lilith.
Oh, yeah. Lilith is great.
Yeah, submachine guns.
Yeah. Anyways, I love this game. I didn't like Borderlands 3. I haven't really liked anything else the series has done, but Borderlands 2 is amazing.
Now, what is the video game that made you emotional? I think it's all of them for you.
Yeah, it's all of them for me, but you start us on this
fine,
one.
I'll start it. Mine, gentlemen, is the dumbest one here, guaranteed.
Well, it's the first one, so
I don't know.
Mine is the dumbest one here because it's from a 2002 platforming game. Platformers are, where you jump around and generally, you collect stuff. And it's not particularly deep. There's never really a good story. And there's not a good story in this one at all. But it's Super Mario Sunshine.
what?
Came out for the GameCube. And
Was it knowing that you're the only one that ever played this game?
it's
That made you emotional?
It's a Mario game. Okay? There's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
you
It's
clean
fun.
up sludge, right? in
Yeah,
this one?
you're going on vacation. They actually attempt a story in this one, which is bizarre for the Mario franchise. So you're going on vacation, and there is somebody who looks like you who's causing all sorts of ruckus on the island, and you are sentenced to clean up all of this goop. And you get a buddy. His name is Flood, and he is a little robot that helps you through the game. And there is a certain point, and spoilers for Super Mario Sunshine from
I'm looking at
2002.
a little duck. He looks like almost.
Yeah, he's on your back, and he can be like a little rocket.
Oh, he is a backpack.
He can hover. And mostly he has a nozzle that you can shoot. And near the end of the game, Flood dies.
What?
And
Excuse me?
No lie, I cried. There is a scene. It doesn't matter. Just go look it up. Go look up the scene where Flood he dies. Spoilers, it comes back. But I'm a teen. I'm a young
watching
teen.
it, literally watching it right now.
And I'm playing this stupid platformer game that I've sunk tons of hours into, and I'm reading old school game facts guides on
Love it.
Text guides on how to find all the different shine sprites in there.
Aww.
And he dies, and I genuinely started crying. Could be because it was late at night. It could have been because I'd been playing it for too long. But I got so sad, guys. My buddy, my man who'd been with me, he'd helped me hover all through Isle Delfino, and he was dead, and I was sad. I can't. Joe, go.
Why'd you get a southern accent at the end there?
When he gets sad, he becomes southern.
I got too emotional.
Queen's grits.
Now, emotional
I
can
need
mean
grits.
emotional can mean a variety of things.
Absolutely. We've talked about fear in the
We
last show.
have. We
for
talked about
example.
fear at a previous show. We've talked about sadness, of course. But what about pure red visioned rage. Full blown rage.
Okay.
When those stupid button mashers on Super Smash Bros. Start knocking you off over and over again, and you can't even get your footing.
Yeah.
This game, which, by the way, Super Smash Brothers, the whole point of it is you're on these platforms, and then you hit each other. But instead of like having a life bar, you increase their damage, and when they get really, really weak, you can knock them off. And then they have to kind of jump back on and start again, and then it awards whoever knocked whomever off the most. It's full of Nintendo characters from Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Yoshi, Kirby, Star Fox, Pokemon. You also have people from like Street Fighter and Final Fantasy and Sonic the Hedgehog. I did mention Final Fantasy. Please don't start crying.
Thank you.
The original Smash Brothers only had 12 playable characters, and then each game they've gotten more and more and more. But this is a button mashing game. The controls are very simplified. You don't have to do a lot of combinations. You just have to hit buttons. So like you get some kids on there and they just start hitting buttons and you keep getting killed and you can't. I don't want to say there's no skill involved with this game, but it drives me nuts when we used to all these Super Smash Brothers parties where people just kind of the whole time and there's no skill. There's no point. And there's no way to win.
Meta night.
And you're like, oh, you having fun? Good, because I'm not. So this has broken up a lot of friendships temporarily.
Remind me not to play with you.
But Super Smash Brothers makes me get emotional.
I'm crying. I just watched the clip.
Don't do it.
Mario, was I of assistance? I did see that.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad. I'm so sad. Flood, I love you, Flood. Go ahead, Ken.
I don't know if mine can compete with yours now.
I'm actually crying.
Mine is from a game from 2018. It's on the PS4, Xbox One, and Windows. It's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, good choice.
This game was huge, apparently.
Like the biggest thing ever that wasn't Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the biggest selling game of all time. And this one, it made $725 million in its first weekend.
It's GTA with horses.
Yeah, this one sold 53 million copies, and the story follows the exploits of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw and member of the Vanderland gang.
Oh no, he's getting southern.
Who must deal with I gotta get sad. With the decline of the Wild West, whilst attempting to survive against government forces, rival gangs, and other adversaries.
Was that sad or stupid?
Stupid.
I couldn't tell you.
I got sad, but then I focused on reading. We're not literate in this time.
She's a good girl.
This is a game, another pandemic game that I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to spend 120 hours in this world. And this game could win probably every category here. This is one that Blake from Blake's Barbershop recommended to me, and I kind of blame him for a lot because I got emotional. Throughout this game, basically, you have a camp set up with just a bunch of people you travel with because you're nomads trying to find safety because there's other bandits and there's a lot of people who are against you, government forces, whatever. And so you travel with these people. Blake said, hey, every time you get a chance to go back to camp, talk to everyone else in the camp because they have stories to tell you or they'll send you on missions or whatever, and you get to know them. And I'm so mad that I did that because bad things happen to people in camp. Bad things happen to you. Bad things happen throughout this game because it's the Wild West. There are diseases. You're a bad guy to begin with. There is a redemption arc in this game, and it is so incredibly stunning. I don't want to spoil this one, but just know that things are bad. All the way. You do have to say goodbye to your beloved because in this game you meet someone that is basically your betrothed, and you have to say goodbye. And you're like, don't do that. And it's weird, though, because many of the things in this game you're choosing to do, it's a little more nuanced than choosing to be good or bad, but you're choosing what actions to take, and they will affect the ending of the game. Even though there's a definitive ending for the character of the game kind of keeps going and leads to more tragedies. And it's just purposely heartbreaking, and I want to play it again. I'll just spoil this. You can choose to keep a horse the entire game. It's shot in the end.
Oh.
And if you say a long goodbye... I don't know if I sold the emotions enough.
Did he get drowned in the swamps of sadness?
You turn him into glue.
What?
No, you don't. Anyways.
Brian?
Okay, mine is from 2012. Was already mentioned a little bit in passing, but it is Telltale's Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the first season, the end of the first season. There are 4 seasons. I have only played the first 3. Each season has 5 episodes, and the episodes are... It's a point-and-click game, and depending on how good you are at puzzles, it's about 2-3 hours maybe an episode. A good movie per episode. I actually restarted this because I'm ready to be hurt again, and I'm on episode 4 right now. But there's a spoiler for the end of season 1, because this game follows Clementine the entire way, and she is an 8-year-old girl at the time that the Walking Dead zombie virus happens. And this follows the comics, so there are characters that you might recognize from the show, but they are the comic version.
It's way better than the show, by the way.
Absolutely.
Basically, first game in the
Right.
series, you're this character named Lee, and you're basically Mandalorian, and you're escorting Clementine, who is the child.
And at the end of the 4th episode, you get bit, and Clementine's missing. And so the entire 5th episode, you were finding Clementine to save her before you turn.
Oh, man.
And you end up locked in a building with her. She doesn't understand that you're bit, and you have to have her... I'm getting goosebumps just talking about
That's why we have this.
have
Yes.
this
okay.
9-year-old girl handcuff you to a radiator, and you have to say your goodbyes to her, and ultimately you choose whether she just leaves you and lets you turn, or kills you so you don't turn, shoots you in the head. And
Well, Ken and I are looking at each other because we already agreed that as soon as he gets bit, I'm shooting him in the head.
No, let me turn.
Nope.
I want to see what it's like.
Nope.
the scene, it is gut-wrenching. The entire series is gut-wrenching. Like, I'm already... was just talking to Haley yesterday when I finished episode 3, which episode 3, you lose a lot of members of the group.
Right.
And it's very depressing game. But fun fact, not so fun fact, but if you have Clementine shoot you, you can hear Lee's last breath right after she shoots, and that is actually the voice actor crying in the booth.
Aww.
And they use the sound as his last breath. And
Wow.
it's just... And your choices in this matter. Every choice you make, whether who you're siding with, people will remember, and you have to choose between people, and it can have lasting effects for seasons, whether you save one person over another. And
I think I remember watching a Let's Play for this one.
and just the scene, the end scene with Lee's death, where he's having to explain to Clementine everything, because she's just this 9-year-old girl, and obviously she's been through a lot also, but it's heartbreaking.
Now we have the world you wouldn't want to live in. You don't want to be there. Joel?
I am Calypso, and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
Are you serious?
I don't want to live in that world.
Wait, are you a driver or are you a person?
I don't want to live in this world. I don't want to be
You
either.
can make a wish.
They never go well.
So wait, if you're a normal person, you're just fleeing the cars about to hit you.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. So this is on the PlayStation, originally PlayStation 1. We have talked about it actually before on episode 153, PS1, I Love You. But I'm kind of doing the whole franchise here because these games, they're all this big demolition derby where it's like this worldwide demolition derby where these cars are all souped up and have machine guns and bombs and mines. And the last person alive is a winner, and they get to go to Calypso, the leader of this tournament, and ask for a wish, and the wish will be granted. But then this is the whole be careful what you wish for thing because it never turns out well.
It's monkey's paw.
Yeah, it
Right.
totally is. But the point I wanted to make is, if you're in one of the cars, you are at death's door every step of the way. People are shooting at you, and they're trying to kill you. You're getting blown up. You're falling off the stupid skyscraper over and over again. But then if you don't live there, if you're having just a nice day in Paris and all of a sudden the Eiffel Tower blows up and falls down on top of the city, that's not going to be good for you either. This is like this isn't post-apocalyptic. This is apocalyptic.
It is.
You're in the middle of this. I love the games.
Yeah.
Very, very fun. But I do not want to live in the world of Twisted Metal.
So good. All right, I chose Silent Hill. This was first released on the PlayStation 1999, but on most consoles, except for like the latest generation. This is a horror anthology series set in a fictional American town shrouded in fog and regret. So the thing about Silent Hill is there's two versions, right? There's a town where everything's creepy. Sometimes there's creatures. You don't know where you are, and really, it's a story. It's like psychotherapy at all times, right? Because the monsters are really the demons in your head, or the regrets, or PTSD. It's always this very personal story, and that's
the friends you made along the way.
Yeah, the personal demons haunting you along the way. And the problem with living in this town is either you're the main character and you're dealing with your own turmoil, and that's really the thing, and you're being stalked by mistakes you've made in the past. Or if you're someone else in the town, if you're an NPC, you're a figment of maybe someone else's imagination, or you're there to haunt them. And so it's just bad either way. But here's the thing. They have schools, so that's nice, a school system. But
I have something to tell you.
Yeah.
We don't exist.
Wait,
Me,
what?
Zach, and Brian don't exist.
Oh.
This
Oh, no.
podcast has never gone to air.
It's the sirens.
You record them, and then you put them on your hard drive, and that's all that
It's
happens.
Pyramid Head. Thank you, Joel. Thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome,
But they do have schools, but there's little demons with knives running around. There's hospitals, but they're filled with demented, faceless nurses. There's amusement parks, but there's giant, bloody rabbit men strewn about. Everything about Silent Hill is bad. So no, thank you.
The world that I don't want to live in, I could have gone with a horror game also,
right?
But I chose one. This was the first game that Haley and I ever played when we first started dating, because we lived an hour apart and we'd go home and play online, and it is Sea of Thieves.
Oh, okay.
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves.
What's this on?
It's on Xbox.
Game Pass.
It is a pirate game where
It's made by Rare, who did GoldenEye.
Okay.
and,
Just giving context for Joel.
Thank you.
and you can
this looks
be
fun.
on a crew
Why wouldn't you want to live here?
because it is all small islands. You're on the sea all the time. The players are very toxic, more so than Call of Duty.
Really? Okay.
The players are very toxic.
So there is chat allowed in this game.
Yes,
Okay.
and they will come and just sink you and repeatedly chase you down and just to sink you and not even take your stuff, and just sink you repeatedly. And they're people that have played the game forever, so they're really good at it.
Of course.
There's also the other stuff when you're out, even being on just an island or out at sea. There's ghost ships, there's ghosts, skeletons, merfolk, megalodons, krakens. Lots of stuff I don't want to
Hate
do.
that, yeah.
As well as just regular sharks every time you're in the water for more than 2 minutes.
They're bad enough.
Sharks will swarm you. I'm good. It's not something I want to deal with.
Also, you have to row the ships if you're a crew person, right? Like,
Yeah, you have to keep up with the wind and their wind directionals, and you have to use your compass to navigate, and you have to turn the sails accurately and raise them to stop and lower
Oh, I
them.
hate
and
this.
Manually raise and lower anchor.
manual labor.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you?
I watch a lot of this game. It's oftentimes streaming in the barbershop. It looks cool.
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want to play it. It's not for me.
Not play it. This is live there, Zach.
I wouldn't want to live there. It's not for me. But I also wouldn't want to live in the world of the game I selected. This is a game from 2007. It's called BioShock. In 1960, a lone survivor of a plane crash named Jack discovers an abandoned underwater utopia, only to find out that the mystery behind its creation is much more sinister than he first
It
believed.
seems like paradise at first.
It's a utopia.
Yeah.
This was Rapture is the name of the place, and it's should be great until it isn't. There's this mysterious compound. What would you call it? I don't know.
Yeah, the underwater
Solution called
laboratory.
Well, there's this stuff called Atom, and it has turned people into crazies. And it's this underwater, what's the Art Deco style world?
Yeah.
That's full of crazy, superpowered druggies, basically, and it is terrifying.
And a Big Daddy every once in a while.
On top of that,
right?
You have these big daddies, these giant mechs that
With a big drill on their arm.
huge drill in their arm that are designed to protect and defend, and they're very scary. But this is a very moody game.
Protecting, defending little sister.
Little
sister, is that right? Yeah.
Yep. And it's a very moody game, but you're in the first person perspective, and you too can tap into some of this. What makes this world weird, and then it's got an interesting story with a great twist that's pretty lame for your character, but it's good story wise, and it's a sweet game.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
a real crappy world.
Oh,
I would
definitely.
hate to be there so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're underwater, so it's all claustrophobic and
Right.
everything. Ugh.
But yet at the same time, it is creepily beautiful.
Yes.
We'll say.
Great pick.
Now for our final category, it seems like a good one to end on. Your favorite overall game. We'll start with you, Kent.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Really?
Yeah. This one's tough because I love the original, but I mentioned it so many times on the PlayStation show. So I wanted to kind of carry it into the future.
Sure.
And for a reason, because
all the way to the PS2.
yeah, all the way to 2004's PS2.
Into the future and beyond.
And the reason they're actually remaking this game
Yeah.
pretty soon, and the reason why this game is maybe the best one to start with is because it's literally, even though it's a sequel, it's the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
This goes back into the 60s, 1964.
They struggle to count as well, Joel.
No.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place. In fact, they were renaming the new one Metal Gear Solid Delta. Just like, don't worry about numbers, it's fine. And so this one, you're actually playing the original villain of the old NES games, and you are still a snake, right? Because they're clones in this world.
We should clarify. They're not physical snakes. People are listening to this, and they just think that there's a snake with a bandana on right now.
There's a
Snake
soldier
is a different
named
game.
Solid Snake, and in this game, it's his father clone type, and his name is Naked Snake. I could try to explain
What
this
kind of
further.
game is this, Ken?
Oh, they don't even.
The
go
reason
there.
they
The
call him Naked
storyline of
Snake
these
is
games.
because you're in basically the jungles of Vietnam and you're shirtless the entire game. This is a stealth-based game. You don't want to be found, so you're either swimming or you're crawling through the grass.
Or hiding in a box?
Yes, hiding in a box. You're wearing an alligator skin or Tobey Maguire skin, and you're trying not to be seen by anyone. The boss battles here in this game are the best in the entire series. There is a villain, I'm just going to spoil it right now, not even the final villain of the game, but he's a sniper, and he's the best there is. His name is The End. Ugh. He will get you no matter what, and you can't see where he is. Sure, you can look. By the way, it's a third-person game and mostly isometric, so top-down. But you can look in on a hill and see where someone shoots from, and he may miss you, and you're like, oh, I think it's from over there, and you try to crawl to go get him, but he'll usually spot you. So you just have to be really good at this game, or because these games are so clever,
so good,
you can just wait. So you can save your game and just kind of wait 3 actual days and leave your game on rest mode. If you wait 3 days, the guy is so old, he's 97, he'll die in the game. So the sniper, you can beat him by outweighting him, and it's insane. And that's how clever these games are. This comes from a series that knew what was on your memory card and would make fun of you for it, right? Would make you switch controllers just for strategy. They're very fourth wall breaking, but this is the one to begin with. And it makes total sense that this is the one they're remaking first, because it's very accessible. Granted, there are so many cutscenes in these games, probably a good 7-8 hours in this game alone.
Wow.
So you have to make sure you have the time. But the gameplay is finessed based on previous games.
Did you ever try the crocodile hat thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put on a crocodile hat and he won't shoot you.
Yeah.
The sniper guy won't shoot you. You sneak past him.
Yeah.
Sneak.
Anyways, Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay, mine,
Your favorite overall?
released in 2010, is Fallout New Vegas.
Really?
New
Okay.
Vegas.
New Vegas. This is made by Obsidian. So Fallout is owned by Bethesda, who made Skyrim, and after purchasing the rights to Fallout, Bethesda made Fallout 3, and it was a success. And so Bethesda said, hey, Obsidian, make another game, you've got 1 year. And so they made Fallout New Vegas, and it was buggy because they were rushed so much.
Right.
It's notoriously buggy.
Well, that's
but
Bethesda.
What is the overall
Always.
story of Fallout?
it is set in the future, but the world has never progressed past the 50s and the nuclear threat from communism and all that. And so there's robots, but it's very 50s. There's not colored television. The music is all 50s music. And then there's a nuclear war. Everyone is decimated, and then the games are set 200 years after that. So there are vaults, which were actually just experiments that the government was doing on people, like you'd come live in this vault and they'd leach radiation to see how you handled it. But New Vegas, you are just a courier, and you are shot in the head by Matthew Perry. Benny, voiced by Matthew Perry.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, really?
And so the first half of the game is you just hunting down, finding who shot you in the head, because you got rescued, obviously, and saved. And then you end up in this massive war between factions. There are 4 different endings you can have, but it's a large role-playing game. It's just my favorite. I've got so many hours in this. There's a DLC where you actually go to Zion and you meet Joshua Graham, who's one of the best video game characters ever, and at the end of it you get his armor, and I love it because he's got a Salt Lake City Police Department vest as his armor, and it's very comedic, but it's dark in a lot of ways also, and the tone is great, and it's got great music also.
Okay.
Okay.
Zach,
Zach?
am I last?
Favorite?
No, Joel's last.
Okay. All right. My favorite game. Cards on the table. It's Portal 2. But you've already talked about it.
Sure.
And I just want to talk about
Portal
one
2.
more game. So I flip-flop between these 2 games. It really depends on my mood. Whether my favorite game is Portal 2 or, this is kind of a weird choice, but Batman Arkham City.
There we go.
Okay,
Thank
nobody
you.
has talked about a Batman Arkham game
Jeez.
today. They are so good.
Day ain't over yet.
But there we go. Joe picked Arkham Asylum. Nice. Most people like Arkham Asylum more because it is a claustrophobic, horror movie. I love Arkham City. I think it expounds upon what an amazing game 2009's Arkham Asylum does. Superhero games were never that great.
No.
But this broke the mold, and it became this hotly anticipated game. Tons of hype, and it lived up to it. I appreciate a little bit more of the open world aspects of Arkham City, the various kind of B and C tier storylines
Yeah.
that
Oh,
get put
so
into
lot
it
of them,
that are nice. You're just
Yeah.
it was like Joker's cool, but what else you got? And this game's got a bunch of that other random stuff that makes you
Pig.
yeah
Hush.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hush. Yeah, the Hush storyline is amazing, and this is so cliche, but this is a game that makes you feel like Batman. But it really does. You feel so cool. The gadgets are great. The combat is so fluid. The graphics are amazing, and this is a game that I have replayed a couple of times. It's kind of like, every few years you need to rewatch the Star Wars trilogy. Like every few years, I'm going to replay this game because it is just so dang fun. Yeah. I love Batman Arkham City. It's my favorite game. That or Portal 2. Joel?
So for my favorite overall game, there was a bunch to pick from, but I was trying to think of the ones that really kind of invigorated my love for gaming again. And I'm just going to read the description of the game as I have it written here.
Okay.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I actually did say just the Arkham series because you could drop me in any of the middle of games, and even with the frustrating Batmobile gameplay of Arkham Knight,
it's a bummer that's what it's boiled down to because there's so much
goodness in it.
I agree.
But I will focus a little more on Arkham Asylum, which I did already talk about in our horror game video episode 323. It really is like this is the game where I went, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. And like I was so enveloped in the game. I was jumping when you're supposed to jump, and I was like trying to figure everything out. There are so many Easter eggs in here, as Zach mentioned.
Yeah.
Like in addition to the cool B and C villains, just little Easter eggs where you walk by a window, you look in, and there's like a little, Mad Hatter hat or something like that, and you're just like, what?
Well, there was a wonderful Easter egg that was found years later in Arkham Asylum where you can find the warden's office, and he has the plans for Arkham City on the wall.
Oh, does he?
And nobody found it until after Arkham City had come out.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it was there the whole time.
Yeah. And like you said, the Arkham Asylum, like that is the one I like the most, but Arkham City is like right on its heels. Because I like the expanded world of being able to go all around. Yeah, I was going to say even Arkham Knight has some beneficial things there.
It's funny. It's literally one of the most beautiful games like ever made, and it is so awesome. The ratchets up the storylines. It just has a bunch of Batmobile stuff.
Listen, it's the Dark Knight Rises.
It's so good.
It really is.
It's just not as good.
But like they have the 4 main installments, and then they have some smaller titles as well. But they had a virtual reality game too, where it wasn't even like really playable. You're kind of just sitting there watching everything happen. But I was just like,
you get to put on the cape and cowl.
Cool. Well, and you get Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill doing the voices.
Yeah.
So this almost made my tie-in thing as well, where I was like, oh, it's totally tied into that verse, but it's kind of its own thing as well. Once again, Arkham Asylum has sold more than 9.4 million copies and held the Guinness Book World Record for most critically acclaimed superhero game ever, but was replaced by Arkham City in 2011.
There you go.
And this is one where you can be, more stealthy and or you can just jump in the middle of everyone and just start punching. It's so much fun. For a fan of Batman, the comics, seeing everything in there,
Truly.
it really was a dream come true. And this is the game that I just, like Zach said, I'll pick it up and play it every couple of years. Like, let's do the Batman again.
I think Arkham creeped so Spider-Man could swing.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah,
There's a lot of the
there
same
would-
elements, the battle elements and everything.
For
like
sure,
that
it would
are the
not
same.
be Spider-Man PS4 without Batman
Right.
Arkham. I actually consider it essentially a spiritual sequel,
Yeah,
even though
truly.
they're not, the same deal.
Yeah.
But great choice, Joel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great choice, Zach. Either that or Portal 2. I
Okay.
could
We
go
have
either
such
way.
good taste.
Great choice,
Yeah.
Brian.
Oh my God.
Best friend for the show.
Great choice.
Thanks.
But there you go. There are our choices for modern gaming is what we're going to call this, I guess. Let us know your choices if you've played any of these games and agree with us, or if you have games we didn't even talk about, like Halo. Sometimes it happens.
Right.
You brought it
Sorry.
up, but like I feel like people are going to get after us about that. Let us know on Facebook. Let us know on Instagram. Let us know on Twitter. We want to hear from you. So, Brian, before we go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or anything you'd like to plug here at the end?
I still do my Instagram that I plugged last time, Madsen Bricks. It's a Lego Instagram.
Yeah.
So not really connected to this at all. But
Legos
Very
are cool.
Yeah.
and a shout out to my wife who was here patiently waiting.
She's the
Thanks,
best.
Haley. Speaking of people who are the best, let's give some love to some patrons, including the I Am the Listener tier, which includes Taylor Sanderson, Stern Madam Hicks, Scott Sprague, Ryan and Marley, Rocky and Steph, Lady Terry A. Finley, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Jennifer Kilkowski, Dave Kelly, Casey Cummings, Briggs is Hot, Angela Plotz, Andrew's Doing a Big Jump, and Adam and Rachel Crump. And then we have the Bacon Council, which includes the one, the only Chris Anderson, Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, Star Wars expert Kyler, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Nicole D. Kale, Johnny English the Brick, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Glow Clint Daniel, Debbie Foster, and Beaker.
Thanks, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You are the handsome to our Jack.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and visit at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. While you're doing that, visit tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. Just so you know, listener, there's only one person in this room not wearing a Baconsale shirt, and it's Kent.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
Point taken.
tpublic.com.
Because we're all figments of his imagination.
That's true.
What?
Yeah. And then if you like what's going on here and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where you can get all sorts of fun perks, including the sometimes all the time when they're out of time bacon bits. What's going on there? Patreon.com/Baconsale.
So until next time, look, guys, I know that I don't game as much as you guys do, but was I of assistance?
What?
I'm confused.
Where are their letters?
Pull back the curtain. I wouldn't say blind spots, but maybe glaucoma spots. So, Zach, what does it feel like to sell out?
And if you're in any of Jake's college classes, welcome.
Let's just do the thing we do.
Okay. Doing that thing we do. Start with Joel, then Kent, and Brian, and you.
Doing that thing you do.
That was ugly.
Why'd you jump into the goblet of fire?
Link is disavowed.
I'd like to be a little bit powerful.
You can go indie or you can go old. You're a little space prince wearing green.
Yes, I am. But what is this game about?
Dependo.
Oh, there's Hagrid's face again.
He's going to be into your nightmares now. This is like the most communist game series out there.
Because,
dude, when I get the bullet, I'm happy and sad at the same time.
bombastic. Your skin is gray because you wear the ash of your dead family.
So is Tobey Maguire's skin your favorite?
So you already know I'm in. I'm holding lightsabers.
If you don't sing the Halo theme in a public bathroom, have you ever lived?
It sounds symbolic.
Stop. I hate him, but I love him.
He's so charismatic.
I love him, and he's so cool, and I just want to be shot in the face by him. My buddy, my man who'd been with me, he'd helped me hover all through Isle Delfino, and he was dead, and I was sad.
I don't like it.
Perfect.
I'm ready to be hurt again.
That's for you, kid.
Joel shorted out.
He's like an angry cat.
It's like he's tasting Altoids.